So, Shockwave, Decepticon, scientist, most trusted lieutenant of Megatron, and logic-loving psychopath. I love him, you love him, we all love him. But just how strong is Shockwave from the Align continuity? In this video, I will be answering that question. And spoilers, Shockwave is pretty broken when you look at his feats. He's one of the strongest Decepticons that you're gonna find in the Align continuity, and you're gonna see why. So in this video, I'm gonna be looking at Shockwave's feats, and I'm gonna be explaining his stats. I'm gonna be looking at Shockwave's physical strength, his endurance, his speed, his firepower, his intelligence, and his skills/utilities. We're doing this in order to figure out how strong Shockwave is. I'm pretty much using the specs that we get from the Transformers toys, but since those things change depending on whatever game, cartoon, or novel appears at any given time, they're really inaccurate to determine a character's true strength, so I'm not going to be paying attention to those, and instead I'm going to be giving my own ranking to each one of these. And also, unlike the specs system that Hasbro uses to, tell us how strong a Transformers is, I'm going to be doing things a bit different. I'm going to be classifying Shockwave's parameters according to this skill right here. An F is basically a 1, and an EX is basically a 10. In a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is Shockwave's, like in each one of these categories? So yeah, I'm just gonna tell you Shockwave's crazy feats, and at the end I'm gonna tell you how strong is Shockwave. Is he Prime level? Is he Scout level? Minicon level? Beyond Prime level? We will determine that at the end. But for now, let's begin. So, our subject here is Shockwave. His Cybertronian class is Tech. This type of Cybertronians usually possess high intelligence, high defense, possesses unique abilities or gadgets through the use of science, possesses unique resistances against certain types of attacks, and overall they're really strong against the Demolition class type of Cybertronians. Through the use of science, these types of Transformers usually deal pretty well against Demolition class type Transformers. Transformers who usually rely a lot on firepower and explosives. They deal pretty well against these guys because of their high defense, along with their use of technology to counteract this kind of fighting style. However, they're pretty weak against Scout opponents since they're not only smaller and faster than they are, but more often than not, they're able to land precise decisive hits on the enemy while they're least expecting it. And it explains why Shockwave actually kinda struggle against smaller opponents, which fall into this category. And also, there's the whole eye thing. Cybertronian type, Titan. This type of Cybertronians usually transform into tanks. They're strong, durable, slow, and armed with heavy weaponry. This type of Cybertronian is one of the most fearsome and durable types that you can find in the battlefield. They usually come equipped with heavy, strange weaponry that can be used to turn the tide of the battle. And now we're gonna be looking at Shockwave's parameters. We're gonna start with physical strength, rank A. This man took down Grimlock, a renowned Autobot warrior who was not only a literal tank, but he also was the sole reason the Decepticon army hadn't attacked Icon before the events of Fall of Cybertron. Once Grimlock was taken down by Shockwave, the Decepticon army basically moved in to kill the Autobots. Granted, this was a Grimlock before the events of Fall of Cybertron, before he turned into a Dinobot, but the mere fact that he took him down in what it was essentially 3 hits is damn impressive. He also managed to match the strength of both Smokescreen and Bumblebee with just 1 arm. And he wasn't even fully trying because he was afraid he was gonna break the Predacon bone, which it ended up happening, but the fact that he managed to do this, it's pretty impressive. It took Bumblebee and Smokescreen a whole lot of effort to try and match Shockwave's strength, while Shockwave displayed very little to no difficulty on matching the strength of the Autobots. He can also fall from very high altitudes, creating massive craters on impact, as well as being pretty much completely uninjured afterwards. He managed to overpower all of Team Prime combined, with the exception of Magnus and Optimus, for a short while before they were forced to retreat. They didn't even want to deal with Shockwave because they knew what difficult of an opponent he would be to take down. Endurance. Rank A+. He got point blank smacked by an anger-infused Grimlock in robot mode, and he shrugged it off as if it was nothing, despite there being clearly visible damage from that hit. And keep in mind, this was before he got his tank vehicle mode. This was when he had his flying vehicle mode, so the fact that he managed to tank that hit, it's impressive. He survived losing his hand, being burned, and being hit hard by Grimlock's tail, along with the collapsing of an entire space bridge tower on top of him shortly thereafter. He was left battered, but still managed to build himself a stronger, more durable body. It took the combined strength of all the Dinobots, with the exception of Grimlock, to destroy Shockwave's new body. This is his TF Prime body, by the way. Although it was revealed that this Shockwave was actually an avatar that Shockwave used to perform many different tasks at once. Think of it like the unicorn avatars that we saw in Transformers Prime. It is implied, however, that this copy of Shockwave is nearly identical in all aspects to the real one, in terms of strength, durability, and intelligence. The only real exception is that, of course, this guy wasn't the real one, but still, it just goes to show how hard of an opponent Shockwave is to take down. He survived the collapse of a space bridge with moderate damage once RC blinded him. Oh, I should also mention this, but his biggest weakness is his eye. Since Bumblebee, despite being weaker in all aspects than Shockwave, a well-timed blow onto Shockwave's eyes was enough to knock him down for a few seconds. And RC outright won the battle by just doing that. He managed to withstand Ultra Magnus' physical onslaught. Keep in mind that Ultra Magnus was regarded to be prime level by many other Autobots, and fans included. So essentially he managed to fight toe to toe with Optimus Prime, if you wanna go there. But we should clarify that will be Optimus Prime before he got his upgrade in TF Prime. He survived being mauled and surrounded by dozens of Predacons, and was still able to walk and move around afterwards. Keep in mind that the Predacons are really strong and implied to be at least as strong, if not a little weaker, than the current living Predacons. So the fact that Shockwave survived this is damn impressive. He didn't survive one, he survived dozens of them at the same time. Speed, rank E+. He was pretty fast due to his vehicle mode in Follow Cybertron, but after acquiring his new tank body, he became considerably slower. He's really slow. At best, his speed seems to equal that of a standard light car. This was shown when he journeyed to rendezvous with Knockoff's Decepticon team. He moved decently fast, and when he was being chased by Smokescreen and Bumblebee, he managed to stay ahead of the Autobots for a decent amount and showed to have a decent amount of speed. He's not the slowest, but he's not the fastest either. At best, he matches a regular car speed, but still, I'm gonna rank his speed as being really low. Firepower, A+. One time, he shot Grimlock, and his blast was strong enough to knock him down and cause a decent amount of pain to him. Like, he basically forced him to remain out the battlefield for a few minutes because of that one hit. And by the way, that was also the Shockwave clone, so yeah, it still applies to the real Shockwave though. At another point, he shot Grimlock at point blank range, and this was enough to damage him severely and render him unconscious. Shockwave's blast is no joke, you do not want to get hit by that thing. Being close to Shockwave's blast radius was strong enough to knock down both Cliffjumper and RC, causing them to momentarily stagger and be unable to fire back for a bit. One shot in his vehicle mode was strong enough to take down both Wheeljack and Bulkhead at the same time. And not only that, his blast was strong enough to send undead Predacons flying. This implied that these Predacons are somewhat weaker than the living ones, but it's still pretty impressive though. One blast, BAM! He just got one punch. It's crazy. Shockwave's blast is ridiculously strong. Intelligence, EX. Okay guys, so this is gonna be a long resume. Get your tinfoil hats ready because this man is crazy. Okay, here I go. He enslaved the entire Insecticon race on Cybertron and improved upon them so they can serve the Decepticons. A feat that no one in the history of Cybertron managed to achieve through the use of science. He even gave some of them the ability to transform. He was directly responsible for the near extinction of the Autobots at the beginning of Fall of Cybertron. In fact, he deliberately lured the Lightning Strike Coalition force to leave the Autobots' flank exposed, allowing the Decepticons to launch a surprise attack which almost annihilated the Autobots at the start of the game. He created the Dinobots, which are basically the Transformers equivalent of super soldiers, very hard to take down and very powerful, and all thanks to the genius of Shockwave. He created the Predacons, which by the time of DF Prime, they were rumored to be invincible, or at least on par with the Dinobots, although the invincible part was only stated in regards to Predacon. He created the Forge, which are basically stronger than average foot soldiers. He created them out of cripples / injured cons and bots that suffered damage from his experiments. He was the first Cybertronian to decipher the language of the Creators / Quintessons, and this helped the Cybertronians rebel against their Quintesson oppressors long before the Great War between the Autobots and Decepticons even started. All of the combiners that the Decepticons have at their disposal were created thanks to Shockwave's experiments, so he's responsible for every single combiner that you see in the line continuity, at least most of them. He also used Dark Energon in order to turn Tripticon Station into an actual Decepticon, which almost went on to destroy the Autobots in War for Cybertron. He invented the Cortical Psychic Patch, which became a tool that will end up being extremely valuable for both Autobots and Decepticons during the war. Yes, that's a crazy resume, guys. He did all of this. Yeah, his intelligence is EX. You know, there's no question about it. Once you have these many things on your resume, yeah, you're just the smartest guy in the room, no question about it. Skill / utility, EX. With a few well placed hits, he took down Grimlock in 3 hits, blinding him and severely damaging him. Quite easily, I might add. He's an expert on Cybertronian biology and physiology. He uses this knowledge to target his opponent's weak points and finish them off rather quickly. That's actually the main reason as to how he was able to take down Grimlock. Shockwave is basically Batman. He's really smart and skillful. If Batman has time to prepare, he can basically take down anyone. Shockwave is much the same here. He took down the Dinobots several times after having plenty of prep time, along with several other Autobots in the Transformers Prime series. He can also create a defense shield strong enough to safely deflect several heavy rounds of ammo by several Dinobots and even Ultra Magnus' weapons, whose weapons are equal in strength to Optimus Prime's guns. He even managed to keep this up for a while until he got bored, and the shield even managed to deflect Grimlock's sword, which did little to no damage. Shockwave also has access to an EMP drone, which has the ability to stun opponents. The stun is even strong enough to stun Grimlock and all of the Dinobots momentarily. He created avatars like Unicron, which are essentially exact copies of himself that think, act, and have the same amount of strength as he does. They're essentially perfect copies of himself, besides the fact that they're not the original. Which essentially means that if Shockwave calls his avatars into battle, you're essentially dealing with 4 primes, or at least 4 Cybertronians that have a strength similar to that of a prime's. He took down Sharpshot, Hardshell, and Kickback with minimal effort and by combining the use of his robot mode and his vehicle mode, something that he does in many of his fights, including his fights in Transformers Prime. Shockwave is versatile and knows when to use his vehicle mode and when to not use it. So, our final tally of Shockwave's parameters are Physical Strength A, Endurance A+, Speed E+, Firepower A+, Intelligence EX, and Skill / Utility EX. If that's not Prime level stats, I don't know what is. He might be a scientist, but he's definitely one of the fiercest Decepticons and Autobot can be unlucky enough to go up against. May Primus have mercy on their souls if they do. Before we go, guys, shout out goes to our patrons Morris Prime, iPulse Fate, Mario Gordon, and Predaking Hunter Plays. That's a bit of a long name. And because they have all donated to my Patreon, they're entitled to a special shout out from me. Thank you guys for donating, it's much appreciated. Make sure to go check out their channels, links in the description down below and in the comments down below. They need all the help they can get. And if you guys want to shout out yourselves, all you gotta do is donate to my Patreon. If you donate to my Patreon, you can get a shout out to your channel, you can request your own videos, you can collab with me in some of my videos if you choose to, and stuff like that. There's plenty of more rewards and I'm thinking of adding a few more rewards as time goes on, so yeah, it's a pretty good deal. Remember, every time you donate, Squeaker doesn't have to pay for the rent, so you're essentially donating to charity, or at least donating to a good cause. So yeah, there's that too. But keep in mind we don't force anyone. This is entirely optional and your support is much appreciated. Thanks guys! But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my stat placement for Shockwave, or do you think Shockwave should have higher stats or maybe even lower ones? Let me know if there's any other character you would like me to cover in a future video and I will be sure to do it in the future. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care guys!